there! Welcome to episode 141 of the WaveBack Music Podcast. My name is Kris.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to listen to the most interesting video game music there is. When Nintendo went 16-bit, there were two things everyone couldn't wait to see. One was the new Mario game. The other was the next generation of The Legend of Zelda. Considering that this game still stands as one of the best ever made to this day, I'd say they didn't let their fans down. Don't forget your Moon Pearl, because tonight we listen to the music of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Well, hello, Matt.
Hello, Kris.
How the bloomin' heck are you? Yeah.
What?
Nothing, I was just reflecting on how we're both doing.
Yes. I've been better, but I've also been worse.
That's true.
Currently getting over a cold. I think I'm in the throes of the last day, and I cannot wait. It has been 4 days of coughing and fever, but no COVID. Sorry to get real with you guys. But yeah, last days. I'm hoping to return to the land of the living as soon as humanly possible.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to bring your undead corpse here so we could talk about this game today.
I reserved all my energy for this.
Much appreciated. Just general warning, I don't know how well it's going to carry down here, but I'm doing we're in the midst of a bathroom remodel in this house, and I was informed that the guy went home to get his sledgehammer, so, I mean, that's all the way up there, but if there's some, incessant banging in the background, I think we should be fine, but, just so you know, I'll edit out what I can, but there might be some construction noise going on in the background. What are you going to do? I need a bathroom. So anyway, we're here to talk about The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. It is its 30th anniversary as of, let's see, the 21st. What's today? We are on the 18th. So, yeah, it's on Sunday. Look at that. The day before the episode goes live.
I think I know what I'm going to be doing on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to be sleeping. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing.
Screaming into a pillow, maybe crying. I don't know.
The day, it's so much possibility.
Yeah, it does hold so much hope. But maybe I'll just blast through Link to the Past. That sounds like a pretty good way to spend the day. But you know what? Let's. We've got a large playlist ahead of us, so we should probably get to work, huh?
I'm ready.
All right, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Hit us with some history.
With pleasure. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was released on the Super Famicom 30 years ago on November 21st, 1991. Then, on the Super NES a few months later in April of 92. What most fans considered a return to form, the third Zelda game abandoned the new 2D side-scrolling approach its predecessor Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, utilized, while incorporating elements like magic use and environmental elevation changes. A Link to the Past successfully took everything good about the first two games and expanded upon them to a remarkable degree. And it did so with a level of quality that was undeniable. Story was expanded on. Musical cues that would stick with the franchise for decades were introduced. The graphics were incredible, and the gameplay was infinitely more fluid than the NES original. The game went on to be a massive success, further cementing the Zelda brand's status as the truly legendary franchise.
The game's soundtrack was composed by Koji Kondo, the legendary music maestro responsible for some of the most iconic songs in all of video games, including the original Super Mario Bros. And Zelda themes. We've spoken about this man a lot, and we're going to listen to his music, so I don't really have anything else to say on that avenue other than this guy's a legend, and I want to give him a hug.
When I get better, I'll give him a hug.
Sounds like a
plan. I
plan.
don't want to get him sick.
So, Mr. Matt, what is your personal history with The Legend of Zelda?
Oh my goodness. I think one of my friends got it first. Once he beat it, I borrowed it, and I played it nonstop. This game is just one of those games that, for me, sticks out as a beacon in my life, a moment in my past where I'm I know exactly where I was and remember what I was doing, that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I felt this game was so innovative, bouncing back and forth through time, and in the write down up front there was the multi-level each screen, so you'd get on a screen and you'd be like, hey, what's that over there? How do I get over there? There was just so much to it. It was so, what's the word? It was so intriguing. It for me, it enveloped me. When you first pick up the sword in the woods and it's dark and it's spooky, like that hooked me immediately, and like there was no letting go from that point on. This game sits in my pantheon of like there's some games from the past that I think to myself like, oh, I should go play this, and you know, I go back and play it and I'm like, this was a little rough, a little worse for wear, it didn't age well. This is one of the few games that I feel like timeless, absolutely timeless. And I don't know how many times I've played through this over the years. I think every now and again as an adult I get a bug and I'm like, I totally should play this again. And then I do, and I love every second of it.
Yeah, same here. I replayed this just last year, and right, was it last year? I think it was just last year. Either way, I'll play through this game a number of times. Just it's one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and yeah, it's one of those watershed moments that I'll always remember. I remember we got our Super Nintendo, and when we opened up the box, you know, we had our Super Mario World, and my sister got F-Zero. We opened up the box, and then that giant poster was in there. And I saw Zelda 3 written on it. So our Super Nintendo pretty much close to launch. And there was just these images of Zelda 3. I was like, there's a new Zelda game? There's a new Zelda game. It's coming soon. And it looks incredible. And it looks like the original game and not like Zelda 2. And I'm super stoked on it. Yes, please. Amazing. So we got the game. I remember, you know, ripping open the box. And actually I didn't rip open the box. I was very careful with it because I still have my original copy in my box over there on the wall over there, and it's still in very good shape. But I yanked the cartridge out, I put it in there, and that story in the beginning was like, whoa, whoa. And then you start playing, and like you wake up in bed, and your uncle goes outside, and as soon as you walk outside in that rain, that was the moment for me. That was the moment. I mean, actually, no. The moment for me was when he's turned it on, and the Triforce comes together, and the sword goes shing, and it does the whole title screen music. That was the moment for me. It was that early. It was done. This game was one of my favorite things
I wasn't even
ever.
In the menu screen, and I was hooked.
Exactly. But that rain was one of the most impressive things I'd ever seen in my life. It's like, oh my God, what the heck is this? And you know, going down underground. Saving Zelda is one of the first things you do in the game. Like,
yep.
And then everything past that, it was just the most beautiful world I had ever seen in a video game. And I wanted to explore every corner, and it was challenging, it was fun, it was clever, it was creative, and you know, the whole time thinking like, all right, we're gonna beat Aghanim, and let's get the Master Sword, and we're good to go. And then I got the Master Sword, and I went to go fight Aghanim, and he was like, yeah, well, let's go to the Dark World. And I said, what? Yep. And it was like, it was like the Upside Down Castle in Symphony of the Night, a similar kind of experience, except years and years before. Because it's like, oh, I'm not even halfway done yet. I remember getting to Aghanim thinking like, well, this is going by pretty quickly. And then he brings me into Dark World. It's like, oh, there's 6 more dungeons. You're nowhere, sir. You've done nothing. Okay. Awesome. I love it. Top to bottom, I just love this game.
No, I mean, what's not to love about it?
And I was so obsessed with The Legend of Zelda before this. Like, Zelda 1 and 2 were so, like, in my head. I dressed up as Link for Halloween one year, and everyone thought I was Peter Pan.
That's funny.
Nobody knew who Link was. It was
yeah.
The video games were so much less popular back then. And the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, I lived for Fridays, because every Friday was the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Same.
It was
absolutely
that whole world of Hyrule was just my favorite thing in all of games. And as much as I love Mario and Metroid, Zelda was always that number one, that top spot for me. And when A Link to the Past happened, it was like the game was a dream come true. It was just hard to imagine. When I think about what Hyrule would look like in a more detailed video game, like you think of the water, you think of the grass, and like they nailed that. The green of the grass and the blue of the water is so gorgeous in that game. It's just one of the most perfect gaming experiences I've ever had. So let's listen to some music.
Yes,
let's
please.
get to work. I didn't skip almost any tracks. I mean, there were a couple of like minor repetitive songs I skipped, but for the most part, we're just going to go through this whole ding dang thing. 'Cause why not, right?
Because it's our show.
That's our show, and this game deserves it. All right, so we're going to get started here with the first proper song you hear in the game. If you just press start after the title screen, because you can let the prologue play first, but we're going to start here because this is the menu music, and this is a song that has stuck with the Zelda franchise ever since this game. This is where it got its start, and it's been pretty much like main menu music for most of the Zelda games following it. This is called Great Fairy, because it's also the music that plays in the Great Fairy when you meet any Great Fairies in the game. But it's also a very pretty little harp tune, and let's give it a listen. Here's Great Fairy. Enjoy. Great Fairy / menu theme from The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and it is a gorgeous tune, and I expect to have this experience a lot tonight where I've played through this game so many times that, like when we did our original Super Mario Brothers episode, it's like I just know this music so very well, but I can't remember the last time I really sat and concentrated on just listening to the music and appreciating it for what it is. And this really just is such a stunningly gorgeous piece. Like, I feel like it's so much more associated with Ocarina of Time from a lot of folks who, grew up on Ocarina of Time and are a lot younger than me. But this song will always remind me of this game way more than any other Zelda game, because this is where I first heard it. And it's just a beautiful piece.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you'd said it right before the track played. This is very synonymous with, The Legend of Zelda, but I instantly think of when you come across one of the fairies, and it immediately puts that image in my head of going onto the screen, and then they're kind of floating about, and I love this piece of music, period. Like, I could see this being played, like, at someone's wedding, because I've been to weddings where, the bride and the groom are a bit geeky, and they slip little things in there like that, and, none of the normies notice, but this is something, like, I kind of wish I had thought about it when I was getting married, that I could have slipped these into, like, having everyone get seated, but listening to, like, harp versions of, old Nintendo classics and stuff.
I did some of that. I didn't use this song, though. I did the two songs that I was allowed to use, because we each got two of our, like, nerdy picks to go in there, and I picked the Tactive Wind from The Wind Waker and Marl's theme from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I mean, those are good ones. Those are good choices.
Yeah, so. The band we hired absolutely butchered them, and I was very angry.
See, that's why So, okay, slight tangent. I'm a sound engineer. I work bands all the time, when we're not in a whatever. And I knew that if there was going to be a band at my wedding, I was going to sit and mentally work the whole time. The bass is too loud, the guitar's too low, EQ the vocals, you're doing it wrong. So I was like, DJ, we're doing a DJ, straight DJ. And he was a cool dude, and that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
That was an excellent choice. Yeah, these guys, we got them the sheet music. It was just like a 3-piece to play these songs that we had selected, and I gave them the original. I gave them the sheet music. They're like, "We're all good." I said, "Here's the original version in case you want to hear what it sounds like." It's like, "Oh, no, thanks. We're good. We can just read it off the sheet music." Said, "Okay, there's a lot of wacky timing in this song, but okay." And they just completely muffed the timing, like the tempo. Completely just blew through it super fast. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That's a shame.
Anyway, let's move on to our next track.
Yeah. Sorry.
Great Fairy is wonderful, but now we get to some actual meaty music. This is the Prologue Theme. This is the music that plays when it starts telling you the whole like history of Hyrule and the Triforce and stuff, and Ganon coming in and taking over Hyrule Castle. This is such a cool piece of music. I love this song. So let's go to listen. Here is Prologue. Enjoy. That was Prologue, which not only plays over that intro, but also plays as soon as you start the game. Actually, a little bit more, a more simplified version of that, I think, plays. It's basically that same song when it's raining outside and everything. But, oh man, what a piece of music, huh? It's so... You're thinking back to, like, this was the start of the Super Nintendo, right? This is one of the earliest Super Nintendo games, and this stuff sounds orchestral. Like, you hear the strings, the violins going back and forth and whatnot. You hear this sounds like so much more like quote-unquote real music than any video games I had ever heard before this. And not to mention just how much nicer it sounds, but just the actual composition is so cool and so interesting, especially when it goes to that like 3/4 part. Like it just kind of switches over time signatures for a little bit there, and then it goes back to 4/4. It was really, really impressive. Great song.
Yeah, you pointed it out perfectly when you said like it's one of the earliest Super Nintendo games. This particular song, this very specific song, to me, it reminds me so much of that early Super Nintendo soundtrack. There's something sonic, or should I say, there's something about the sonic quality. There's something about the timbre of what's being done that really takes me back. Like in a weird way, it takes me back to ActRaiser to some extent. There's a little element I think that exists here that eventually made its way over, or something similar made its way over to the ActRaiser soundtrack. But yeah, this I feel like when I was first listening to this, I probably thought this was the most epic thing I'd ever heard in a video game ever, and nothing was going to top it. Its composition is fantastic. Given the limitations at the time and stuff, and it's still, like this whole soundtrack, it holds up really, really well. And again, it takes me right. I know I could see it right in my head. I could see exactly what's happening. So there's just such great there's great memories tied to this game. Period. And the soundtrack especially. Wow.
Yeah, seriously great stuff. So let us continue. After you run around outside in the rain, You make your way into Hyrule Castle. You sneak past the guards by sneaking in through the sewers. And this is where you hear this incredibly regal, wonderful royal tune, Hyrule Castle, which has also been reprised many times throughout the course of the history of the Zelda franchise since this game. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. Here's Hyrule Castle. Enjoy. Well, that was Hyrule Castle. That was a that song, even with like the instruments being as, I guess, low fidelity and kind of MIDI-ish as they are, it still just commands such a presence, like the timpani and the trumpets and everything. I really think it's the composition that ties it all together. Not that the instruments are bad, but it's, obviously they're aged a bit, and it just doesn't matter. Everything comes together so strongly. It's such a wonderful song.
Absolutely. There's, like you said, there's some kind of lo-fi quality to it. Again, early on, Super NES. But it even that doesn't take away from the composition. Just beautifully written. The timpani and the trumpets. Just bouncing off of one another, working in Congress. It's just such a great piece of music. I'm one of the few people, like, I'm sitting here and listening to this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'd love to hear the real instruments. And I've never actually gone and looked for orchestral versions, of which I'm sure there is an ocean, worth. And I'm sitting here thinking, I think I'm gonna do that later today. I think if I'm feeling up to it and I leave the house, I'm put that in the headphones today. I'm gonna make today epic.
Nice. Yeah. Epic's a good word, because this song really does have that. This is really where, the first song is really kind of mysterious, where you're sneaking into the castle, but man, you go into this place and it's incredibly foreboding, because you're just a kid, and now you're not in some dungeon. You're in the royal castle. Like, you're in like basically the big government place. It feels like you're out of your depth, and that's a really, really cool feeling that this song kind of makes you feel. And it's so successful at doing that. It's so successful at sounding regal and also kind of foreboding at the same time, because this isn't like, let's happily go to the castle. This is like, no, the king's missing, and the princess has been kidnapped, and things are going bad, man. This is a good time. So it really, really nails it. Just absolutely nails it.
Oh, absolutely. Something I love the idea of something bigger than you. I mean, exactly what you just said. Like, we're going to the Capitol, we're going to the big building, and yeah, like you said, you're a child, you're a kid, whatever, and you're now taking on this grandiose task. And I think this track definitely gives that off.
Well, speaking of grandiose, speaking of big things, this next one is just kind of like, this is it, man. This is the Overworld theme from Legend of Zelda, as played through Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. It's one of the few songs that's actually reprised from the original NES game, and it's so masterfully done. And I will never forget the first time I heard it, because you finish all this, you go to the sanctuary, and the priest guy basically info dumps on you for like what feels like forever, and it was raining before. But as soon as you open up these doors, you see that the doors open up, and the world is green and bright and sunshiny, and this music starts, and it's just this. I will never forget that feeling. The first time I saw it, I was like, just in absolute awe. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. Here's the Overworld theme from The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. There it is. Oh man. And you think about the times that I had heard that song before this version, where it was the NES game and then like all the various weirdo versions in the background of the Zelda cartoon, and then this one with just the drums and the trumpets, and it's so majestic. It was a musical, life-altering experience. Just outstanding.
It has the what do you want to call it, the lo-fi quality still, and I have to laugh. Like, don't get me wrong, this is iconic, no question about it, right? But I have to laugh at that little symbol.
Yeah, it's it's just a little symbol.
It's I have played in several bands, and every drummer has one of those symbols.
Oh, it's like a little splash symbol. Yeah,
it's like the dirtiest. It's so ugly, and yet they somehow manage to fit it in there, and I'm always impressed with them. But that being said, apart from that little symbol, which gives me like a giggle, it's iconic. I mean, like you can't go wrong with this. You know, for the overworld music too, it's just this is your soundtrack essentially. You're listening to this, 65 to 75, maybe even 80% of the time. It's got to be good, and this is. It's better than bad. It's good.
Thank you, Blammo.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's such a great reinvention of this song. Right? It just is.
If we keep talking about it, we're just gonna babble.
Yeah. So, I babble enough for one day. So let's move on.
Also true.
From that magnificent track to another great song. It's really memorable because you hear this one a lot, and there's not a lot to it, but boy, this one really sticks with me. It's such a neat, weird, spooky little tune. Here is the Cave Theme from The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Enjoy. I love that song.
It's so there's something so like cheesy about it, and yet so like perfect. It's great. It's got it has all the elements of like dread.
Yeah.
Like you're in a cave and it's scary. Oh no! And the stabs, ring, 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 bugga bugga bum bum bum. It's great. It's just a great little track. I can see why it gets stuck in your head a lot.
I mean, it's got definitely a bit of cheese to it, but really the best thing is the weird little like squishy noise.
Yeah, like what the heck is that?
It's so great. I love it so much. And this song would have so much less character without it. It's such a genius stroke of
I'll give you that.
You know what? Let's just add a few like wet footsteps in there. Just why not? Let's go nuts. Oh, good times. Okay, let's keep this train moving on to Kakariko Village.
Yes.
Ah, boy, this is a good tune. So honestly, I still think I prefer the town music from Zelda 2 to this one, but this is the one that always comes back. Kakariko Village tune is the one that always comes back for future Zelda games. It's been reinvented a number of times, and this really is a really nice, peaceful song. Obviously, it is the soundtrack to Kakariko Village, so let's dive right in. Enjoy. Like the epitome of peaceful town music.
Yeah, It really, really is.
I don't know what I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's not like
I'll say some.
Yeah,
I got
go
something to
nuts.
say.
Please do.
All right, I enjoy it. I really do, because it's part of the Zelda pantheon.
Of course,
it's a good song.
Yeah.
This particular version has elements early on that I find to be very shrill.
Yeah.
Those leads when they're up front. For me, in my headphones at the moment, maybe it's because it's loud. I don't think it is, but they were kind of rattling my brain a little bit. And again, I'm a fan. I really am. But this one with a grain of salt a little bit. I think again because of the limitations of the tech at the time and stuff. Just a hair shrill. That's all. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so I hear you on that. A little bit shrill, but all things considered.
Yeah, no, and that's my whole point. So all things considered, this is all great stuff.
A nice song that's been reprised in better forms in future games, but laid some solid groundwork with some amazing composition there.
Absolutely.
All right, this next one's a song you don't really hear all that often. It's the fortune teller theme, and it's also used, I think, in a couple of shops in the Dark World. It's just a neat little eerie tune. I don't know. It always makes me feel like I'm getting ripped off. It's got the right feel to it. I don't know how to put it into words, so let's just listen to it. Here's Fortune Teller. Enjoy. I like that one.
That computer part, I don't know what to call it. It's so strange to me. It comes really out of nowhere.
The whole song is so weird. I love it. It's so, I don't know. It's just a freaking weird tune, man. It always made me chuckle whenever I'd be there. It reminds me of, specifically in the Dark World, you go into the shop and there's that weird animal-looking dude in the background just moving his arms back and forth real quick, and they're all like, "Hey, you should buy some stuff. Get out of here." Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next track. This is a short one, but it's one of my absolute favorites in the entire game. I love this one so much. This is probably... God, there are so many moments in this game that I'll never forget, and this is yet another one. The first time I made it to the Lost Woods. I remember looking at it on the map, and having read the instruction manual, I knew that was the Lost Woods. And you first go in there, and it's dark and misty, and it's I remember being lost in the woods, the quote-unquote Forest of Maze, in the original NES Legend of Zelda, and one of the things I had always wanted to really see was a proper spooky forest, and this just nailed it. There was that mist covering everything, there was that magical mushroom you could find, the big logs you would walk through, and then eventually you make it all the way to the top corner, and there's the Master Sword with all this Hylian language written all over it that you can't read, and you can't pick it up or anything, and it's just the squirrels and the rabbits run by. So, oh my god, this place is so cool. And this music is so perfect for it, because it's not a very large area, and especially when it's covered in mist, you don't spend a ton of time there. So the fact that the song's short is not really that much of a problem. And man, it nails the feel of this area so flawlessly. So let's give it a listen. Here is Lost Woods. Enjoy. Ooh, what a wonderfully spooky song.
I can't disagree with you. There's something actually interesting about it that comes to mind. I like that it has its elements of I don't know, spooky, I guess. Dark forest, lost woods, whatever you want to call it. But I think that flute in there gives it like the what's the word? It gives it the
whimsy, perhaps?
The whimsy of Hyrule. Because, you have fairies that are helpful and around, and, it's a fantasy-driven game, So I feel like having that flute in there gives it an element that may not be so heavy-handed. Like, you might... Like, I don't know how many times I've heard that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And only now it's coming to me to say, like, oh, well... I guess that makes a little more sense why the flute's in there, because, you got this fantasy, this high fantasy element, there's blah, blah, this and that, no, you know what I mean? So, I think that's, if it was unintentional, then you did a great job, but if it was intentional, like, absolutely spot on to give it, that added dimension. I think that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, that whole, the flute that comes in there, really just, it gives it that kind of, traditional foresty, whimsy, Lord of the Ringsy, high fantasy kind of thing feel to it. It's just a flippin' masterpiece of a game. This song just nails the feeling of that place just so perfectly, and I love it. So let's keep going into yet a more spooky tune. This is the Dungeon theme. This is the Light World Dungeons, and ooh, I love this song. This song brings back memories, because this is certainly a song you hear a lot of, because you spend a lot of time in the dungeons. So let's give it a listen. Here's Dungeon. Enjoy. The ever so spooky dungeon theme from The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. How does that song make you feel?
Oh man, it really takes me back. It really takes me back. What I love, I think, the most about that song really is the first 10-15 seconds of it, when it's kind of disjointed, right? And it's got those notes going first, and then right when it picks up and it goes into its meat and potatoes, so to speak, I just absolutely love that part. I think, to me, it it just, I don't know, that opening part really makes me think, like, this is, like, some stuff's going down right now. I'm in it. This is you know, because every dungeon is different, and every dungeon had, you know, its own monsters and its own designs and things like that. So is it just, I think it lends itself to, all right, what's next? What's right around the corner? What's coming? You know, what's right in front of me? And I love that feeling.
Yeah, it's I forgot what I was gonna say. Rats. This one specifically reminds me of the third dungeon. Every time I hear this song, I immediately get a vision of the first dungeon, but then it's the third dungeon because I spent so much time the first time I played this movie. And I spent so much time trying to figure out how to get the moon pearl. So you're walking on those stars that change where the holes are in the floor, and for some reason between that and the crystal switches, like, I just remember that sound of hitting the crystal switches and trying to figure out how to fall down and get the moon pearl. For some reason, it stumped me so much when I was a kid, and now I do it now. It's like, of course, that's how it's done. It's not hard. What's wrong with me? Yeah. But it played with my spatial reasoning so much. But this song just reminds me so much of that specific instance, because I was stuck there for a good long while. And that boss, that stinking snake thing that you have to hit in the tail, and he can knock you down off the side, and then you gotta climb back up and start all over again. It's like, stop knocking me up. I hate that thing.
Come on, man, let me just kill you. Like, why are you trying to fight me?
It's like, one pendant left, okay? One pendant. Stop it. Let me have it.
Don't understand.
Oh, good times. Okay, next up is, this is another one that's really heavily associated with Ocarina of Time. And I feel like not enough people realize it's actually from this game. It's not really heavily featured in this game. This happens to be the music in the background whenever you're talking to Zelda, whereas it's actually a thing in future Zelda games, specifically Ocarina of Time. But this is Zelda's Lullaby, which is in fact from A Link to the Past. So let's give a listen to the original flavor, Zelda's Lullaby. Enjoy. Oh, there you have it. Zelda's Lullaby.
Yep. Yep, that's what it was.
Yep, that sure is what that song. I mean, it's. I almost skipped this one, honestly. It was just it's such an important part of Zelda history. I felt like we had to give it its due. It's certainly not a bad piece of music or anything. It's definitely a song that I feel sounds a little bit better in some more modern Zelda games. But either way,
yeah,
it's pretty nice. It does have that shrill thing that you were talking about, though. Like, it gets a little high pitched in a few places.
A little pitchy,
like,
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it is a product of its time, but regardless, it's
absolutely, yeah. Again, not pooping on it.
Yeah, it's not really something that stuck with me all that much the first time I had played it, which is neat because when it was reprised in Ocarina of Time, I immediately recognized it as like, oh wow, they're reusing this song, huh? That's pretty cool. But because I never really thought much of it, the original, the when I originally played it, so yeah, it's neat.
I'm a fan.
Okay, well, it's time to leave the light world and move on to the dark world. One of the greatest things about The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past was it was one of the first games a lot of people played with the parallel universe mechanic that's since been reprised in countless games. But it was such a novel concept back when this game first came out, and the first time you enter the dark world in A Link to the Past, you are missing an item called the Moon Pearl. The Moon Pearl is what allows you to keep your shape in the dark world, whereas the dark world makes your physical form reflect what is in your heart, which I always thought was a really cool mechanic that was later reprised to explain why Ganon's a pig. Super awesome stuff. But so when you first go there, you're on top of Death Mountain. You're trying to get to that third dungeon I was talking about, and you have to briefly go into the dark world. You meet this devil-looking dude beating up a dude who turned into a ball because he can never make up his mind. And you don't have a Moon Pearl, so you turn into a rabbit. And the music is different when you don't have the Moon Pearl equipped. So let's give it a listen. Here is No Moon Pearl. Enjoy. Again, I love that silly song.
It's so goofy.
It really is.
in kind of like the pantheon of Legend of Zelda, but I dig it. I like bump bump bump. Like that's impressive.
Yeah, it's
for its time.
Really well written tune. It's that like weird trumpet little boom, 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 that's going on. That's just so silly. And
yeah,
but it's also like really kind of off-putting and mysterious. You know, like there's something about it that it really is perfect for the instance that it's used in, which is it's not a song that's in the game very much at all. It's just in this like one or two spots, especially after you really only do it once before you get the Moon Pearl. Unless you don't get it, then you go back there. But it's just got such a weird tone to it. I love it.
Yeah,
adds an extra layer of character to this wonderful soundtrack.
It definitely does. It definitely does. There's no question.
But then you get the Moon Pearl, and this it's debatable which order I wanted to put these in. I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, I heard this song first because I got the Moon Pearl and then I went outside, and this is what Death Mountain sounds like in the Dark World. When you have the Moon Pearl, it's also the music for the Dark World's version of the Lost Woods. And it's a great tune, and we're going to listen to it because that's what we're here to do. So here we go. Death Mountain, Dark World. Enjoy. is such an interesting song to me because of the way it kind of... That second part of it has such a different tone than the rest of it. It's almost hopeful, which is so weird because of the completely desolate places where this music is heard. But somehow it works, even though it seems out of place. The rest of it is so just like dour and mean sounding, which really fits the environment. But that kind of like that second part of it just kind of adds to the fact that, you know, you're the good guy. It's not all bad. We're trying to save the world. We're not everything is lost. I don't know. It gives this interesting dash of hope to an otherwise pretty hopeless sounding song. So, well, there it is.
I mean, pretty much everything you said sums up mostly what I feel about it. I think it's just it's another track where it's just another gorgeous piece of music. Again, sitting in a book of gorgeous music. I'm a fan of marches. I like the dun 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 dun, you know, and the little dun 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 dun. It's just, there's something about it. Maybe it brings me back to my childhood of like cartoons and things like that. Or I don't know, my love of World War II. As every man turns 40, gets into World War II. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. It's a good piece of music though, and yeah, I know what you mean. I absolutely know what you mean about the hopefulness. There's in that lead, there's a bit of brightness that works.
Like it just a little change.
Yeah. Again, I think it's another piece of music that falls under the umbrella of epic.
Indeed, it is quite an epic tune.
Yep.
But this one here, this bad boy we're about to listen to is the Overworld from the Dark World, and that is an epic piece of music right there. This is this song has also been reprised a couple times throughout the course of this franchise's history, and it is a masterpiece of a song. One of my favorite on the whole soundtrack. Let's give it a listen. Here is the Overworld, Dark World. Enjoy. There you have it. That's the Dark World. Love that song. Love that song. That song's good.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes I have trouble deciding if I like this one over the regular Overworld.
Oh,
more.
That's tough.
Because there's something... I mean, the original Overworld is very, iconic.
Yeah.
Right, obviously. But this one, in my opinion, I think it's iconic for other reasons. I love just
Yeah.
it's almost like a call and answer to the original Overworld. There's just something so brilliant about this piece of music.
It's so good, and the instrument choices, everything about it is so phenomenally put together. And I really also like the other versions I've heard of this song, because it's really quite malleable. Like there's when they were doing that Zelda live tour, the concert, there was a really like epic version of this song played all out, and very, very heavy horns and stuff like that. And then there's you think to the Link Between Worlds for 3DS, where it's much more like reserved and almost like chamber orchestra style, like, and it works so well in every single direction that you push it in. But this specific version, like, even when you think about some of the other stuff that we listen to, like Zelda's Lullaby, this one's got really no issues on the original Super Nintendo version. It still sounds so darn cool. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to love?
The High Noxes. I hate those guys throwing bombs at me.
Fair.
Well, you can't have an overworld without a dungeon. I was going to say underworld, but it doesn't really work. So
doesn't really work, yeah.
Dark World has a whole bunch of dungeons, and this is another pretty great dungeon theme. So let's give it a listen. Here's the dungeon theme from the Dark World. Enjoy. Spooky.
Wrong episode.
Oh, rats. Right, it's November. It's still spooky, though. It's still really good spooky music. The strings just going that whole time. Really gets just the right atmosphere in there, and everything is just like, it's super dreadful, and like it puts you just a bit on edge, but it's also not really high energy. It just nails everything it's going for. Wonderful song.
Again, some of my favorite Zelda music is straight out of this game, and this is no exception to that list. This is just another one of those iconic tracks from this game. This probably sits top 5, definitely top 5, maybe top 3 of this whole soundtrack. I absolutely love this track.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. It's like, and that original Light World dungeon theme is so like eerie and stuff, and this just takes everything that one does and brings it to the next level of like, okay, all right. Thought the other one was foreboding, but now it's four foreboding, 5 boding. There you go.
It might be 8 boding.
Oh my goodness. Multiplying. All right, we've got a few left here. So this next one is it's a great one. It's the boss battle music. Really good boss battle music. It's very, very intense. It's very loud. It's very fast. It's very awesome. It's very right now. Enjoy. Yeah, not much going on there, but man, that intro. Dun, 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 dun. Again, first boss of the game was really. There's two ones that this music really matched the terror of what was happening. Like, remember walking into that first boss of the game, which there's 6 statues, and you go in there and the music comes and like, all right, what's going on? And like as soon as the dun, 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 as soon as that ends, they start shaking and they start jumping up and down in a pattern. I was like, what do I do? They're everywhere. Yep. Oh, it was so awesome. And then the other one is the first boss in the Dark World, the giant Helmasaur. This is you walk into
yes.
Walk into the room and it's like, oh my god, that's gigantic.
Yeah, like what am I supposed to do with this?
Oh, I loved it. Love this tune. Again, not much to it, but it's like it's just loud, repetitive drums. It's perfect. It's great.
Sometimes less is more.
That it is. Well, I don't know. You got anything else to add to that one?
No, I don't.
Then we continue to a song that has been reprised a great number of times. Again, a lot of people recognize this one a lot from Ocarina of Time, but it was in fact from this game. It is the Gannon theme. Enjoy. And I love this song for being what it is, you know, for this version, but I'll never forget knowing this song because I had beaten this game so many times, especially I'd fought that last battle with Ganon so many times, so I was very familiar with this song. But then when you get to that last battle in Ocarina of Time and Ganon's literally playing this song on a pipe organ,
you're like, hey.
Like, he's the one playing the music. I'm like, oh, this is just, yeah, well done, magnificent, keep it up. Nah, this is some proper foreboding music right here. This is some good business. It's used to think when Aghanim is zapping Zelda away and whatnot before you fight him. Just good tune.
I mean, I can't say much that we haven't already said about the entire soundtrack, but I think this is just good. You know what I like about this really? It's a song that is representative of Ganon, but it's not so heavy-handed. You know what I mean? Like some songs or some tracks that get slapped with villains or the main villains of BBGE or whatever. They tend to be grandiose and massive and epic and everything. And this is a little more understated, and I like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel there's a lot in this game that's big and grandiose, but Ganon's track kind of isn't, and that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. I like that quite a bit. But his actual battle is, in fact,
wow.
Yeah, really invigorating, really good tune. So let's go ahead and listen to it. This is also our last track of the evening, until the one we send you away with. But here is Final Battle, the actual fight against Ganon, and what a cool fight it was. Enjoy. just thinking back to fighting this guy for the first time, it's like, all right, I got you. Because he didn't disappear. In the original one, when you first walk into that room, you walk in and he's just like, I'm invisible. And you're just stabbing, flailing in the dark, like, I don't know what to do. This guy, he just stands there and takes it. And he just takes whatever you're throwing at him. Like, you just go over there and smack him with your sword, and you kind of bounce off him. Like, you can tell you're doing damage, but it doesn't phase him at all. He's just, like, taking the damage. And you just beat the heck out of him. Well, so those listening, we were rudely interrupted by a flood happening in my house. But it's all fixed now. Final battle with Gadden. Gannon, phenomenal song. Matt, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, iconic fight, personally. I'm a big fan of this final boss, this final fight. It's a song that, like just about every single song we've listened to, I go right back. I remember the very first time I had this fight, and I still do this, 30 years later. Doesn't matter what video game I'm playing, how much I've torn through the game, I always freak out on the first fight. I'm like, all right, okay, because I'm like this weirdo that wants to get it done the first time around. I don't know. Again, more about me than anything else. But I remember having this fight, just being like, oh man, this, like, there's something about this music. Some games you play and you fight the boss, and we've been trained like, oh, he's got like 3 forms or whatever. Uh-huh. Or, you hear the music and you're like, oh, this is it. This is the final fight. This music to me screams final fight. And when I heard it, I was like, yep, final fight. Like, this is it.
Yep, this is how we're finishing things.
Yep, we've been building towards this the whole game. And I don't think it disappoints at all. The fight, the game, the music, none of it disappoints.
Yeah, 100%. This is a masterpiece top to bottom, and I'm so glad we spent the time listening to it.
I'm happy it turned 30, yet upset it turned 30.
Yes, indeed.
We're old.
Yes, indeed, we're old. But at least I can always remember that I was 10 when it came out, so at least I can...
yeah, it's really hard for me to think that I was like 12 playing this.
Yeah, it's crazy, but here we are. Yep. All right, well, that's going to kind of wrap it up. I've got some water to mop up around the house and make sure nothing's in any sort of danger, so I'll take care of that. But that's our show. Join us next time as we conclude our year of anniversaries. It's done, but we got one left. We're going to celebrate the 35 years of Kid Icarus. How? I don't know. Yeah, we'll probably just listen to a bunch of Kid Icarus music. It'll be great. But yeah. Good times. Here we here at the WaveBack Music Podcast are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. And we have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a WaveBack chat where we frequently discuss all manner of stuff relating to video game music and whatever our next episodes are going to be. And we also have a WaveBack forum page on Facebook, which you can find by searching WaveBack on Facebook. Of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com, and while you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. And be sure to check out all the other great content we have on our site over at geekade.com. You got anything important to say before we skedaddle?
No, I don't. Be kind to each other.
Yes, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Oh, yes.
We're going to leave you with the ending theme. It's a long one, but it's a great one. It's because this game has a really memorable ending where you get to see what happened to all the characters that you met along the way, and it's really quite delightful. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.